Yeah, this is our bean stack. You could probably only afford to do what we're going to do in Ecuador because these beans are quite cheap. We've got 10 different varieties of beans. We're going to use them throughout the property just to make sure that the earth is covered with vegetation and that we have something that is going to fix the nitrogen in the atmosphere. And the beans do such a good job of retaining soil and preventing erosion. So, a very unusual choice for us, but we're going to give it a try. I'm going to make a second video about the success if this hill is going to be covered completely with the beans. We're going to plant it and water it and take care of it. And we're going to give you an update in maybe 3 weeks, let's say, how that hill that we're showing is going to be completely covered with beans. We're doing many spots in the property. We're targeting mainly steeper slopes so that we can retain the hills that we have here on the property. The only question I have is how good are these beans going to be to walk around them? Can we actually walk up the hill once the beans have sprouted? So that's my only question, if that's going to be a problem with the foot traffic. Yeah, so we have a little bit of a game plan how we want to improve this hill. We've planted all kinds of fruit trees and trees in the hill already, but the hill has a very, very peculiar problem that I'm not really familiar with. There's the more you dig, the more rocks you encounter. It's nothing but rocks. The whole hill has soil mixed around rocks. And what we've done so far is we've dug a hole to put a fruit tree in, for example, and we end up with 50 rocks. So the idea today is we're going to weed all this grass out of this hill. We've got lots of lupins and other beautiful plants already establishing themselves in the hill, and we want to make sure that they survive and they do well. So we're going to use a little bit of a different method. We're going to use different types of beans, and we're going to plant them all by hand, sticking them in little pockets everywhere. And we want the beans to take over the space. We want them to be the main focus of this hill, so the weeds are pushed aside because the space is occupied by beans, if that makes any sense. So we want to do this aggressively, and we want to weed this all out and get it so that we're in control of the hill and not this cooey grass. So that's the idea today, is we're going to do this and get as many rocks out as we can, get the weeds out, get the rocks out, and get this hill to be more controlled by us, which is important to us because we want to get this hill a lot stronger and a lot more overseeable. That's the idea today. Okay, we're going to get started. Okay. Beans are a surprising choice to retain a hill, but they're fantastic in doing that because they have these extensive root systems that go down. They're nitrogen fixers. They will cover the soil completely so the sun doesn't get at it. The rain will have to get through the root system and the leaves to get to the soil. So all in all, with all these benefits, beans is a really good choice to prevent erosion on a hill. Beans also enrich the soil by fixing atmospheric nitrogen, and they will push that into the soil, and everything will grow a lot better if you have these beans present, and they will help the microorganisms. Everything will grow better if the earth is filled up with life. The root systems are working incredibly well, and the beans get to do what beans do. They grow incredibly fast, they germinate incredibly fast, and they send out life. And that life is what we need in a hill like this, to get around the rocks, to get around this tough soil, and to displace the weeds. That's one of the big things we're trying to do, is displace all these aggressive weeds that we have on this hill. Yeah, so every time we tackle an area, we do a little bit of improving every time. What I mean by that is we'll get as many rocks out today and as many of these twitchgrass weeds out as we can today, and we'll condition the soil. So we're doing, you know, everything a little bit better. Less rocks. Get the rocks out. Get the weeds out. Get something that's going to take the place. The beans. Get them in the ground. Get this area changing into something different so that it's more manageable as a gardener. Now, one of the things is I always like to start out with an area that I can trench compost. So I had a guy dig out this whole hole for me, and we can put all these weeds into this hole and cover them with topsoil and put beans on top. So I've got this area working to create better soil. That's the whole idea, is this improvement of a space that you're tackling. So if you're tackling a new part in your garden, make sure the end result is that you have it improved, that it is a better gardening space, that it will support fruit trees, that it will support all kinds of different plant material in the hill. We use, for this method with the beans, we used 10 different types of beans. That's really important to me, is to have that variety of beans taking over a place, because that diversity will help the hill. You always want to help the area that you're working in. If you can get this hill to be stronger, to be more controllable, then you've done your day's work. You've done the job that you want to do. And that's important, is this improving of garden areas in your garden, making something better than it was the day before. If you're going to invest a day's work in this space, make sure that it comes out a lot better and that you've improved everything as you're going along. Yeah, we picked a day where we had heavy rains the day before. So pulling all this grass out and all these weeds is a lot easier because we picked the right day. We didn't have 4 or 5 hot sunny days to dry this all out. So it's a lot easier today to do this because we've had so much rain. Being very selective. We have good plants in here. We have really nice small ferns. So we're picking the lupins. So we're picking through everything, and we're leaving everything that we want to keep. And we're working our way up the hill, and we're going to finish off an area, and we're going to stuff it full of beans. So the beans take over the space. So they're competing with these grasses that we don't really want in this hill. Really show how easy it comes out, the weeds, with the fact that everything's so nice and moist. Like, it pulls out so easily. If this was a dry situation where it wouldn't have rained for a week or 2 weeks, this work would have been twice as hard. So make sure to pick the right day to do this weeding, and it'll make all the difference in the world. This is a good soil, a good starting soil, but it's like completely full of these rocks. So we're going through it. We're getting rid of the rocks. We have containers for the rocks, and we're going through it, and we're going to work this hill into a beautiful space where we can actually grow a lot of things on the slope, because this hill gets a lot of sunlight. So what I do is I do 2 things at the same time. I will push these seeds into the ground, and I'll get all these little rocks out. As long as these seeds are worked in a little bit, you'll be quite fine to get them to germinate. The bigger problem for me are these rocks. They're everywhere. So we're going to get rid of as many as we can. So this dual function really is going to work for us, getting the soil on top of the beans and getting the rocks out. So we're going to tackle most of the hill doing this, and we're going to water the hill once we're done, so that these beans, everyone knows that beans germinate so quickly. So we're going to make sure that these guys get a good start with some water. Yeah, we're going to set up all these fruit trees just to make sure that they're a little bit protected from animals. This also identifies to us when this gets overcrowded exactly where the fruit trees are. So it helps a lot. Okay. Okay. These wire cages have entrances so we can collect the fruit and water easily. Just to see all these beans growing on the side of the hill, as we want this bean hill to be self-sufficient, so when the seeds fall off they'll germinate again, hopefully, and keep this weed out of the soil. And we're going to constantly check for these rocks and clean this hill up nicely and have it completely covered in beans. These beans are for up on top of the hill. They're going all the way up there, and we're going to fill all this in with life and growth. This is another part of our property way up on the hill, and we're doing the same thing here. We have lots of bare dirt up here, so this type of dirt, and we're putting bean seeds everywhere, working them in. It is quite dry up there, so they should hopefully with a bit of water germinate quite well and turn this into a different type of soil up here.